Hi, this is Jeannie from Trinity Tree, and today I'm going to make a grapevine wreath. Now, I've got my sewing machine set up. I've been making face masks, and I'm just going to take a break from that. So I'm going to zoom in on this in a little bit, but I didn't want to move my machine and things out of the way, so it's going to be kind of an odd view, but I'm going to zoom in and focus on the grapevine wreath so you can see what I'm doing a little better and not have all my machine and things in the way. So hang on. Okay, now that's a little better. Maybe you can see this a little better and you can't see all my other clutter. If you're not familiar with Trinity Tree is a website that my daughter Carrie and David own. They also have a retail store in Pontotoc, Mississippi, and also have a second retail store in Pontotoc called City Mercantile. But everything that you see today, except for the grapevine wreath, came off the Trinity Tree website. I was going to make an Easter wreath, and I've had this for a while and just haven't gotten to it because with the onset of the coronavirus, it just kind of put everything, I guess, reprioritized. So I've been making face masks, but my eyes are about to cross. So I decided to stop that for a little while and make something cheerful to put on my door. So this is a Happy Easter sign. It's about almost a ½ inch thick. It's made out of MDF. It comes from Burton & Burton, and it's just got a burlap hanger. And it says Happy Easter. So my thoughts were, and I'll give you the SKU numbers for all the products that I'm using. My thoughts were to put this on the wreath, and then after Easter, I'll just take the sign off. The next thing I have is, it's a bundle of peonies, and it's got a little lavender, a little greenery. It's just a little flower bundle. I'm going to take that apart. And then I have just a lavender pick that's kind of has that fuzzy kind of leaf, kind of like lamb's ear, you know, that velvety looking leaf, and a little lavender. And then I have some pussy willow that just came in, so I'm going to probably use some of that. Y'all, I've got my cords and things all stretched out here, and I don't have much walking room, so if I fall down, just don't think anything about it. I have 2 ribbons picked out. They're both 2½ inches, and one is plaid. It has some cream, pink, and lavender, and a little bit of glitter. And then this is a cream iridescent. So I was going to make just a simple bow, and I'll put in some flowers, and then, like I say, after Easter, take the sign off. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my flower stems apart and cut the stems. I would show you how I'm doing that. If I was at the Trinity Tree store, I'd be using the bush cutter, but I'm here at the house, so I'm going to have to make do with some heavy-duty wire cutters. So I'm going to cut these pieces, or separate them anyway, and get them ready. And then I'm also going to take my sign, and on the back, I'm going to staple 2 chenille stems or some rustic wire or something to attach my sign with. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. I believe this was called a Victorian rose. I don't know if it's roses or peonies. We call them peonies. You may call them peonies, but we're in Mississippi and we call them peonies. But anyway, when you take the bundle apart, it's got like 17 stems. So I'm going to put those on individually. And then I took my sign and I just stapled 2 brown chenille stems to the back of the sign. And when you use a heavy-duty stapler, you want to make sure that your sign is thick enough that your staples don't go through. And of course, there's other ways to attach a sign too. There's some little stick-on things that you can get, and you can use your floral wire, you can hook around them, or your chenille stem. So this is not the only way to attach a sign. I cut the stems off the pussy willow, and you know, like I say, if I was at the store, I'd have the bush cutter, but you can really do a lot of cutting thick stems with a heavy-duty wire cutter like this. And I have my little hot glue skillet over here. It's just a little 8-inch skillet. Let me see if I can show it to you. They put such a short cord on the skillets, but it's just a small 8-inch skillet, and I'm using Gorilla glue sticks. So I've just got my glue warming up. You don't want your glue to be smoking. It's getting a little too hot if it does that, but just enough to keep it melted. The first thing we're going to do is attach our sign, which is not always as easy as it looks. So you want to keep your chenille stems full length. Sometimes it helps if you have some long needle nose pliers. So you can, it's kind of hard to hold and get through the grapevine at the same time. Okay, now once you get your sign attached, you can always go back to the back later and, you know, cover up those chenille, or trim off your chenille stems or work them into the grapevine so that they won't show. So there's our sign. And the next thing we're going to do is create our bow. And once we create our bow and attach it, then we'll go back in and add our florals. So I'm going to make just a simple loop bow. I'm not going to use a bow maker or anything this time. I'm going to use the 2 different ribbons. I'm going to cut a piece of floral wire to use on my bow. This is just paddle wire because I'm afraid my chenille stem will show too much from the back. I used a brown chenille stem for the sign, but I'm going to use a piece of wire. So I'm going to cut this wire about 24 inches in length or so and just kind of double it and lay it down and hope I can find it when I'm ready for it. I'm going to lay it right here on my machine. You can't see that, I know. Okay, and then I'm going to start with my 2.5-inch ribbon. This is wired ribbon, and the first thing I'm going to do is cut that little folded edge off the ribbon. I'll finish off my ends of my ribbon after I get my bow made, but for right now, I'm just going to trim that little folded edge off because you'll never get that to straighten out. You just might as well trim it off. And decide about how long I want to start with my tail. So I'm going to start with a tail that's about 18 inches or so. And I'm going to, that way I'll have a little extra length in case I need to shorten it. So I'm going to take my ribbon and pinch it up. And then I'm going to make about a 6-inch loop. And then I'm going to bring a loop up from the bottom, another 6-inch loop. And you can pull your loops up. That one is a little bit short, so I need to make it just a little bit longer. This is a really stiff ribbon too. You can pull those loops up to measure them. And then I'm going to make another loop, another 6-inch loop. Keeping the right sides up. I'm sorry, I have to hold this up high for you to see it. So I'm just bringing a loop up from the bottom, make a loop at the top, and then make a loop from the bottom. And now I'm going to continue to hold that, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that ribbon free. And then I'm going to start with the same length tail with the cream iridescent. And just still holding that in my hand and make another 6-inch loop. One at the top, one at the bottom. This is just a free-handed bow. It's kind of like Rachel calls it a shoestring bow. Making another loop with the cream, one at the top, and one from the bottom. Of course, you can use your bow maker. You can use a bow dabra, easy bow maker, any of those things, you know, to make your bow with. All right, so now I have 4 loops from each ribbon, so I'm going to cut those tails off. Take my piece of wire, go right over where I'm holding it with my thumb. Make sure I get all my loops caught, and I'm just going to pull that wire to the back. Keep holding the bow, and then I'm going to twist. Now I'm going to hold the wire and twist the bow. Okay, and then you're ready to just fluff out your bow. Make sure you have all your tails coming to the front. And I'm just going to kind of pull a loop over to kind of cover up that wire. You can, just kind of fill those up in the center, and then you've got that covered up. And I'm going to take my wire and thread it through the grapevine wreath. And I'm just going to wire that into a kind of a large twig. Okay, and like I say, we can finish off the tails of the bow a little bit later. Let me see if I can. Okay, let me see if I can get a better view. Now, I like to try to get an idea of where I'm going to put some of the flowers before I start putting hot glue on them. So I'll take my largest pieces first, which were these big blooms, and kind of position those, and then that gives me an idea of, just where to start rather than put one in and glue it and then, have to move it. So I'll start with, I'm going to trim that stem just a little bit. Now you can use a steel pick machine. Ours is at the store right now, at the Trinity Tree store, so I'm working from home, so I'm just going to have to use the stem itself. But you want some of your large flowers, you want some of them where you can view them from the side, and then you want some, to face out towards you. And when I trim the stem, I'm doing it at an angle, at a sharp point, and just dip it in the hot glue. Whoops, my stem bent. So this is where, if I had my steel pick machine, I'd be a lot better off. I'm going to have to make do without it though, so let me try again. The steel pick machine just puts a sharp steel end on your stem and makes it much easier when trying to get through a grapevine wreath. we'll just have to make this work today. I have one more bud, so I think we'll put that over there. I love the pinks and lavenders together, and that cream. It's really good color combination for spring, summer. So you could take this Happy Easter sign off and put like some kind of a spring or summer sign. And now we're going to start adding in with some of our filler. And this has some lavender color in it, green and lavender. So I'm going to make that piece shorter. And I'm going to try to kind of mirror if I put one down at the bottom, I'm going to put one at the top. And you want to spread out those individual pieces of that stem. I'm going to use my longer pieces and then come back with the shorter pieces and fill in. This greenery is just plastic. It was a part of the little lavender pick. And there's stems that have little berries and little lavender leaves. you don't really know what length you're going to need your stems till you start putting them in. So that makes it kind of slow, I know. So my pieces fell off in the floor, so I'm gonna use everything. I'm not gonna let anything go to waste, so let me go ahead and just keep tucking in these little small pieces. There's no piece that's too small to use. If you haven't shopped Trinity Tree, we have all kinds of wreath making supplies for deco mesh wreath. Absolutely hundreds of styles of mesh and literally thousands of styles of ribbon. Of course, we have the work forms and all that, and the Unique in the Creek flower forms. This is the pussy willow that I took pieces of. All those little pieces are wired, so you can just, move those around, spread them out, curve them. It really gives a springy look to it. Sorry, my pieces fell off in the floor. The little bud part is on a wire by itself, so if you wanted to take that off of your branch, you could. Okay, I think that's almost all of our pieces. Okay, I think, well, no, found one more piece. Okay, so now we can finish off the ends of our ribbons, and I'm just going to do like a dovetail cut on that. And just take your ribbon, fold it lengthwise, cut away on the folded edge, and it makes a dovetail. You could do that. You can just do you can just cut it at an angle. You can roll up the edges if you want to, which is really pretty on a ribbon that has a pretty backside. So like on the iridescent ribbon, I'm just can just curl that up, just for a little different look. And you could just run your fingers under there to make your ribbon have a little bit of a curve to it if you want. And that's it. So after Easter, I can just take the Easter sign off and hang up a different sign, or just leave it off altogether. Thanks for watching. If you've not subscribed to our channel, there's a little button down at the front of your screen somewhere where you can subscribe, and there's a little bell, and if you hit that bell, you'll get a notice each time we upload a video. Thank you for watching. This is Jeannie from Trinity Tree, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.